Can you hear us okay, Hector? Rick?
You're muted though, right? You know that, Hector?
Yeah.
Okay. He just sounds.
Rick, how you doing?
All right, it's 6:30 and I'd like to call this meeting to order, please. Could we start with the roll call?
Mayor Smith,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Stelter,
Rick, can you hear us? Please. Okay, and maybe somebody might text him to let him know that we're not hearing him.
Trustee Majorato,
Here.
Trustee Check,
Here.
Trustee Hunter. Here. Trustee Heck. Here. Trustee Tornell. Here. Trustee, or Mayor Pro Tem Stelter. See now.
Is he still there?
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. Oh, good.
Mayor Pro Tem Stelter, can you hear us?
Hmm.
Take that as a no. I'm gonna take that as a no. Do you have a form?
Okay, thank you. Could I get a motion for approval of the agenda, please?
I'm gonna approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay. We've got a second? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And now we can hear Rick. Great, thank you. We are here tonight for a special meeting and I want to provide an explanation. It is that I saw a copy of the flyer that was going around town and, read it, thought about it, and then felt like it would be really important to have the trustees come together and decide on a unified message to the citizens of Paonia, simply because the flyer was misinformation and blatant falsehoods. And it's really important that the trustees, that first of all, that the citizens of the town understand what's true. And I thought it was really important to give the trustees an opportunity to provide a unified message to that point, if they so choose, and that's why there is a draft message in this agenda packet. The misinformation and falsehoods were clearly denigrating us as the elected officials, staff, and the town administrator. And when that sort of a message stays out there without being answered with facts, that message becomes reality. And it's really dangerous for a town to have that reputation. And if you read my mayor's report, those are the things that can really have a negative consequence on a town when they do need to get loans and grants, because we cannot do any of the work we're doing here without that infusion of cash. And if the granting agencies think that we are not working in the public interest, they could take that money back. And we may not get for the grants and loans, which we are going to need in this town because we have to replace every clay sewer pipe in every alley in this town. And we do not have the money up front to do that. So with that, I appreciate that we have a quorum tonight and everyone making time to be here. And because I see a lot of people in the audience and people online, I'd like to open it up to public comment first. And if so, those of you who would like to comment, just raise your hand and hang on. Let me finish, please. Actually, what I think I'd like to, well, can I have a show of hands of who would like to speak tonight? Okay. I see two hands. Okay, I just, wanted to make sure everybody had an opportunity. It was somewhat organized. So with that, if you'll come up to the podium, you have 3 minutes. If you'll come up to the podium, give us your name and whether you live in town or out of town, you are free to come up. And I saw the woman's hand in the back first, so please come on up. And hang on 1 second. I will also recognize if there are people on Zoom who want to speak, I will get to you after we have the people that wanted to speak that are in the room. Thank you. Sorry.
It's gonna beep, but that means you have 45 more seconds.
Go ahead, sorry.
Hi, I did see what you're referring to circulating around town. And what really got my attention was the cameras that are now in our town park and on the front of this building. And I have to tell you, I find it sickening that those were pushed through and put up on these buildings without our knowledge. And that they cost a lot of money and will continue, as far as I know, to cost money if it is a subscription. And you talk about the pipes that need to be replaced. Yes, we need our pipes replaced. We need our sidewalks worked on. We do not need a surveillance state put up in our small town against our will. And where is that information going? Who is monitoring us? Where is this footage going? Are we available to view it? How is our money being spent to then monitor our behavior? And if you've done studies or looked at the research on how surveillance state alter people's behavior, the studies are there. People don't feel as free, they don't feel as safe, and it is just an atrocity that is happening in our small town against the will of the people. And the fact that you all pushed that through and installed those cameras, to me, is a complete erosion of trust, of public trust in what you're doing and who you are and what you stand for and why you're here. And so I'm not one that's typically involved, but when I saw those cameras, when I saw the messages circulating, and if they are even a little bit true, this is not okay. This is not okay for our town, our small, sweet, little agricultural town, to be all of a sudden facing what feels to me like a surveillance state. I do not want my going up and down town monitored. I do not want my license registered. I do not want heat maps of my body being registered. I did not consent to that. I do not consent to be on tape. And it's not okay. So that's my message. I would ask you to take them down immediately, have complete transparency on why they're there, and redirect funds to things that we fucking need, because this is not it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. And some other people have come in since I opened up public comment, but I saw Suzanne, yours was the next hand to go up if you would like to come up. And anyone else who has stepped into the room that wanted to make a public comment, please just raise your hand and I'll direct you to come to the podium. And Suzanne, would you rather not? Or number two?
The public comment at the beginning of the meeting is very difficult. Our ordinance actually says that it's after the trustees' discussion. So we say things and then you launch the things that we might not even know we should be commenting about. So I do have a hard time commenting in the very beginning. My name is Suzanne. So this is difficult. I'd like to say in your letter, Ms. Mayor, you say you're offended by an anonymous letter, yet you're making anonymous accusations in your letter about this pattern of a few ill players in town harassing and bullying, defaming town administrators. It's really unfair that you're offended by these anonymous comments that the person is Pete McCarthy. He revealed himself. And yet you're accusing anonymous people, this anonymous threat, the shadow government we've heard about before that Stephen Wynn has mentioned. And you're doing the very same thing that you say that bothers you. I do want to say, as a member of the Planning Commission, when I didn't, the STR ordinance, I didn't put that forward. I put that forward as a citizen because it was a bad ordinance. Yet your administrator, Wynn, wrote something to DOLA in the updates about that grant, blaming the chair of the Planning Commission, who is anti-regulation, for passing this STR ordinance. That was my right as a citizen protesting a very poorly written ordinance that would affect me it was nothing about the chair of the Planning Commission with an anti-regulation agenda. And yet he defamed me to the state. He's doing this on Facebook. Anytime someone bothers him, he goes and attacks them on Facebook, and he never names names, but you know who he's talking about. So you seem to be very bothered by someone pointing their finger at you guys. your administrator, but he does the very same thing. It's kind of sickening to me. I do want to say, typically in a situation like this, I would expect you to do some discovery. I'd like to see you contemplate, it's your opinion. I know you've written an opinion, Lucy Hunter has written an opinion, but it's your job to do discovery and look at both sides and see what might hold some water, what doesn't hold water, before you go and host something at the town's expense, because that's my money and you represent everybody. People who Stefan doesn't agree with and people who he does agree with. You represent us all. And when the government starts this looks like censorship to me. You're censoring free speech, people's comments. And to me, in light of all this national situation and no kins rallies, you're doing the very same thing that people in this town are protesting nationally. I'd just be very careful.
Thank you. Who else would like to come up?
Second some beeps.
That's cool.
My name is London Tool, and I also agree that it's kind of ridiculous that the people not have the last word. It's kind of because I'm assuming the only information we have now are the 10 points that paper made, and I understand that some of them may not be true. But right now, we haven't heard what isn't true, so we can't really effectively respond. It's kind of ridiculous to have us coming at the beginning, but I'm just gonna assume that it's all true, because that's all that I have. Why are we spending $50,000 on a cloud provider that's outside of Payoneer? Why not just have an NVR and do it all locally? And that would be a lot less like a surveillance state. At that point, if the cameras are all sure, they're accessible, everyone has cameras. There's ring cameras all over the place. The town should be allowed to do that as well. But I don't think that some minimum wage employee in Coquito working at a data center should have access to that video if the people of Payoneer also don't have access to that video. I'm either live stream the video, so at that point it's just a webcam so that everyone can see it. And I think most people would agree it doesn't feel like surveillance if anybody can look at it whenever they want. At that point, it's just openness. And if you're going to have a system where it's centralized, not everyone can access it, keep it here. Don't sign up for a cloud subscription where all our video is owned in some other data center. You can have a local system like most old CCTV video, at which point our police can access it if they need to. That's all.
And before you go, did you say your name?
Yes.
Sorry. Okay. Thank you. Who else in the audience would like, come up front, please? Person in the back.
Hello, my name is Lisa Shore and I live here in Paonia. Good evening. I want to take a few minutes to express my concerns about the priorities of the board and how decisions are being made. Last year, this board chose not to waive the $2,500 fee for the Learning Council to hold the farmers market in Town Park, something that clearly benefits Paonia, both economically and socially. The reason given by the board was that they were not comfortable spending taxpayer dollars on something that not all citizens agreed was a worthwhile event. Now, we're in a position where a similar amount of money is being considered to fund newspaper responses to a citizen flyer based on publicly available records. That contrast is hard to ignore. One decision supports the community directly, and the other is about defending an individual within an institution. I also served on the tree board, and from that experience, I got a firsthand look at how citizen involvement is handled. That board no longer exists. Regardless of the reasoning, the result is fewer avenues for residents to participate and be heard. More broadly, what stands out is a pattern of response. When concerns come from within the community, they don't seem to get much engagement. But when criticism becomes public, the response seems immediate. That's not really about agreement or disagreement. It's about consistency and trust. And at the end of the day, this is about how a town government chooses to engage with its citizens. Are we encouraging involvement and open discussion, or are we reacting defensively when questions are raised? These choices matter because they shape whether people feel that they truly belong here, to this town, or if they feel excluded from it. And right now, it kind of feels like the latter. So I hope to see that change in the future.
Thank you. Who else? I saw the first hand in the back.
Hey, my name's Annalee Foster. I live here in town. I think my concern regarding specifically taking out the ads in the newspapers is we're talking about what looks like about $2,500, as Lisa mentioned, of money to refute claims. And we have stated many times, we have limited funds, we have limited staff hours. This is gonna require both. And I think instead of actually fostering a conversation that could be done in a much less expensive way, we're trying to shut it down. And you definitely have a PR problem, we know that, it needs to be addressed. But I don't think this is the way to do it. I don't think this is the way any of us want to see our taxpayer money spent. I don't think this is actually going to solve any of the issues. I think it's pouring gasoline on the fire, and we're not actually fostering the type of conversation that's gonna resolve and get to the bottom of the real serious issues that we have here in terms of the divisions in this community. So I'd really encourage you to perhaps, and even how this meeting was arranged, it was announced late on Friday afternoon. There was no public announcement on Facebook, there was no text message. It doesn't feel like you're really looking for public input. And that's, I think, a huge part of the root of the issue here. And taking out these ads is not gonna be the solution. So, yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Who else in the? Ms. Lappy, please. I see your hand on the right here. Go ahead, come on up.
I'm Jamie Park, and I feel like I'm a broken record here because I've been involved in the STR repeal and then sitting in on the STR committee meetings. I have heard direct falsehoods from, unfortunately, our manager and one of the council members, direct falsehoods. But I'm not taking out an ad. And I just feel like you're just creating a situation where it's more, I don't know this person who wrote the document. Never met him. It seemed to be very well written and cited and sourced with what appeared to be facts. What I heard from you is just, they're blatantly false. But I don't know, I read through them and I do know some of them are absolutely correct. What I see here is a pattern. We went through this with repealing the SDR ordinance. You didn't want to take the 122 citizens' signatures. So you said, let's put it out to the voters and see what they think. That was 70.5 to 29.5 to repeal the ordinance. And yet, less than a year, we are back at it with the SDR committee formed by, it was originally 3 of the original people that pushed the first ordinance, 1 member of the public who doesn't want STRs, and 1 that does want STRs. The optics of that alone are not good. And I know what it's been like to try to speak to the board, speak to the committee, and you do feel marginalized. You do feel disregarded. You don't, it's not data if it doesn't fit whoever's agenda, okay? And so I feel like I keep trying to fight for the citizens vote when it's been disregarded. And so there is a pattern. So that's.
Thank you. Who else in the room who would like to speak? Yes, come on up.
I'm Susan Pagano and I live here in Paonia. I object to the town paying for the publication of this rebuttal. If you publish in all 3 papers, take out a half page, it's going to be $1,200. If you do full pages, it's going to be $2,400. This is not a good use of our money.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room before I turn it over to the people on Zoom? Yes, please come up.
Hi, Benny Hebrew, live in town. I think a personal rebuttal requires the use of personal funds, not taxpayer funds, not the town's funds. That's all I have to say.
thank you. Yes. Oh, and I didn't get your name. You did your name. Okay, right. Yes, sorry.
I just wanted to tell that.
Can you give us your name?
Yeah, Robin.
And do you live in town or out of town?
That's out of town.
Okay.
I just want to tell you guys thank you. You're doing a really good job. Seeing how possible it is to make every single person happy is absolutely phenomenal. During the 3 minutes that I have, I want to say thank you for improving the security cameras. I don't think people know that just today our ballot box was vandalized and almost destroyed. Because of those cameras, we will know who did it. The BMW rally donated 70 grand for a remodel. I'm pretty sure it's close to that. Within a week of that remodel, a group of locals set it on fire, broke brand new toilets, graffitied it, tore it up. That's why they're there. Thank you. The cameras are there to hold people accountable for the crimes that are happening here that nobody talks about, that don't make the news. They are important. We're talking about taxpayers' dollars and things that we need, water lines, infrastructure. Would it be nice to be able to stop spending tax dollars replacing infrastructure for crimes, for vandalism, for things that shouldn't even be going on? It is running rampant in this town, and that's why they're there. So thank you guys. I appreciate every single one of you. I know that you guys are doing the best job that you can. Use taxpayer funds for the rebuttal. You didn't put it out there. Why should you have to fight it? Is that my time? You didn't force anybody to write that about you, most of which are lies. And you deserve the right to be able to have people know the truth in this community. I know that every person at this table and every person that works for the town cares deeply about our community and wants what's best for it. When you were so far behind because of 30 years of neglect, you have to pick a place to start. You have to pick something to start on, like the street sweeper. Seems that the community is mad about it.
That's your 3 minutes.
Can we have a clean town? My deed gets hot. So
Yes, I see a hand in the back. Please come up.
Hi, my name is Lysandra Barley. I live out of town. I'm also a power of attorney for my mother who lives in town. I'm reading the Wikipedia page about Verkada, which is the company we would be contracting with. I've been researching a lot about the Flock cameras, and Flock is a different company that is very nefarious. But for example, if you read the controversies, in 2020, it was reported by several media outlets that a group of male staff in leadership positions used the company's own facial recognition system to harass female workers. It goes on, there's lots of things. In April 2021, Bloomberg News reported allegations by former employees accusing the company of having, this is of the company. I just opened this up. Okay, here we go. Verkada uses facial recognition in its cameras, including systems installed in public housing. Independent testing showed a 15 to 85% false positive rate in the matches. The use of surveillance cameras equipped with facial recognition technology ends up affecting the daily lives of residents. So a lot of these companies providing these services, I think, are problematic. And if we adopt these technologies, we have to also do a safety audit. And those safety audits it just becomes another thing on your to-do list. I love the idea that we bring it in-house. Okay, I understand the need to protect
our public infrastructure, that we are gonna have vandals, especially when we have charity days coming to town and big events. I can appreciate that. If our ballot box is being vandalized, I understand the need for it. We could create a job and the infrastructure locally to do that. That might be something that's over the head of most people in this room. But there are people in this community who could help with that. And we could create an internal system, I think, that would be much more beneficial, ultimately costless, and not put us at risk of companies that are putting it out to other law enforcement agencies that can be hacked as readily. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room? Yes, just come on up.
My name's Pete Carter. I really didn't want to come today. I haven't really wanted to see any of you since I sent you those letters reporting the harassment that I was experiencing on the planning commission, and to which those of you who were on the planning, or on the board, just didn't reply. I didn't go anywhere. My father died last year, and I really didn't want to have to deal with the grossness that is what this has become. But when I came back and I heard about additional things, and also as I just watched this last year, when I watched the cameras roll down, and I just thought, that is just the most bizarre, dumb thing to roll out onto our sidewalk when you could have just sent two guys with a wheelbarrow and fixed the damn sidewalks instead of sending robots. We're one of 5 towns in the entire country that has ever used robots to check their sidewalks. That startup has pivoted 4 times to different things, and now they're doing ADA, but before they did robot security and all this stuff. I could go on. My point is that you're one, I came to tell you guys a couple things. I'm not gonna shut up. And if you take out a full page ad, I'll take out 2. So whatever you do, I'll double it. You will not take away my First Amendment rights. My father was a veteran, so I'm gonna do this for him. And I'm not gonna let you take away my First Amendment rights. And if you think just calling me libelous is going to scare me, I suggest that you get a better attorney than the one that you have. Because your legal arguments are terrible. You're doing this in the middle of an election. It is just so, it's unfathomable. You are really not a very good leader for this town. And I don't want to be the person just tearing down. I was on the planning commission, okay? I was contributing. I am a professional at what I do. If you look at my posts, you will see they are well researched. Yours are not. Yours, you just call me a liar, basically, which is defamatory, by the way. We want to start throwing out legal terms, okay? I would be a little more circumspect about the words you are using to describe you. I will not back down. I will make sure that all this comes to the light of day. When employees come to you to report something, you do not call the town administrator. You take that seriously. In this environment, shame on you. Shame on you for doing that. We have so many examples all around us of people protecting people who are being abusive. And here you are, right in the middle of our town. Take your full page ad, do whatever you want to do. I'm going to be right here. I'm going to hold you all to account. Woo!
Wow, thank you. All right, anyone else in the room who would like to speak? Oh,
I'll go quick.
was that a response? Was there someone else?
Well,
Oh, okay. Oh, and I'll get to online people next. Okay.
I'll make it quick, sure, time for that. If you got issues with somebody, with speaking the truth and documenting it,
Please speak to me.
I think you should sue them yourself, spend your
Excuse me.
own money.
Excuse me,
We're suing them.
speak to me. Thank you. Okay, who else would like to speak?
That's okay. Christina Patterson, outside of town. I think you guys are all here to be fiscally responsible to the citizens of this town. And oversee the town administrator. That's your job. And it's absolutely fiscally irresponsible to take out ads and use town of Paonia citizen taxpayer money, period.
Thank you. All right, so before I turn to people online, that doesn't mean you can't still speak, but I just want to get everybody in the audience first. Okay, so I don't see any hands up on Zoom, but are there some people up there who would like to speak? None, correct, Ruben? No hands up? Okay, all right. So, again, anyone else in the room that would like to speak? Yes, please come on up.
My name is Jess Durbin Ackerman. I live in town. I was not prepared to speak on this, but and just saw about the meeting this afternoon on Facebook, and I think what I want to speak to as a leader in our community is just openness and transparency and creating space for our citizens and community members to have conversation about the governance in our municipalities and in our county. What is very clear is that folks are not feeling listened to and aren't feeling included in the conversations that are happening. So, and I know we're also in the middle of an election for trustees, and that is a topic that is definitely up for everyone who is running for that, but how can we as a community foster a culture of transparency, of open dialogue and discussion and accountability in our communities? I think that's, in our greater country and world, folks are feeling not listened to, they're feeling a lack of accountability. How can we practice that at home? This starts here. I'm a person who tries to practice the values I hold in the world in my life. And that means I'm willing to admit when I've made a mistake or I've handled things badly. I think that's what makes me a good leader. It is hard personally to do that. And sometimes it takes me some time to get to that place. But these are the things that we as a community have to grapple with together. And these are not things, accountability, apologies, taking responsibility. And I'm not saying I believe one thing or another in this situation. I'm just saying those are things we're not taught in school. Those are skills that we need to cultivate. And as we step into being mature community leaders, those are skills we have to have. So I would love to be a partner in our community in helping to build those skills so that we can have these conversations without getting into fights with each other. We need to be able to have discourse where people don't agree, especially in this moment. We are a community in the North Fork Valley that is very diverse ideologically. And we need to be able to be neighbors, to support each other when we need it in emergencies. And that takes these kinds of skills. So I will just say, I am here to learn alongside everybody to do that better. And I am here to commit to that as a member of this community. Thank you.
Thank you. I do see a hand on Zoom, and it's I can't see the full name, but it looks like Samantha. Samantha, would you like to speak?
Hi, yes, I'm Samantha Brissolera. I live outside of town. I did want to bring up the allegations against Mr. Nguyen and the pamphlet that's been circulating social media. As someone who worked with him in Neptune Beach, I can tell you the claims there are false. I work directly under Mr. Nguyen, and none of that is true. There are circumstances that were not open to the public that they don't understand the context of what was happening there. There is a lot deeper things that happened that are not portrayed in your message. Second, it is defamation. It is libel. It is just disrespectful language. I understand we all have a First Amendment right, but that does not mean that we have the right to belittle or be rude to somebody who is a public servant, who is a public leader, who is doing the best for your city. And I can promise you, there is no lying. There is nothing that is.
Excuse me, Samantha, I'm just trying to get people in the audience to not speak out. Go ahead, continue.
Oh, I'm just here to say you can believe what you want to believe, and there's always a small minority in every city I've ever worked in there are small minorities that don't understand the process or they don't like the process. And that is where these anger problems come from, because they don't understand how government actually works. So, and if you want to read about defamation and libel, please pull up some court proceedings, because there are some about using harsh language regarding discrimination. There is language about using those type of comments to belittle people. There are court cases, there are adjudications that have happened and that have proven that you cannot say those things without there being consequences. And I just want to warn you of doing that sort of thing, because it's not good for you. It's not good for the town. You know, in a town, you're supposed to create community. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what y'all are trying to do. And I hear that from all of the citizens there. There are people that want to work together to make things better. And that's the way to go about it. Not by spreading lies and not by just being awful.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Samantha. That's the only hand I see online. So hang on one second. I just want to make sure there's no one else. Okay, gentleman in the back, come on up.
Hello, I'm Mike Bramwell. I live in town. I'm an Afghanistan combat veteran who also believes strongly in the principle of free speech. And I understand that it exists almost entirely to give the citizenry the ability to criticize public officials. It's naive to believe that truth could be like this. And labeling a truthful statement as libelous is itself defamatory. And it's apparent to me now that there are enough people paying attention with the time, resources, knowledge, and expertise to make sure that all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted going forward. I remember last year about this time, the town declined to waive the fees for an event in the town park. The fees were roughly $2,500. Rationale at the time was that the event did not serve the interests of all the people in the community. And now we're gonna spend roughly the same amount of money to defend the obviously troubling past of one person. Why not post the rebuttal in the same form as the original statements?
Thank you. Yes, come on up, Lauren.
Lauren Fulbris, I live just out of town. I think really, after listening to all these comments, what I would really like to be heard is that this is a very difficult situation, and everything that you read online, there are sources that can be cited. I know Lucy brought up some other information, and someone mentioned this earlier, that rather than put something in the paper, especially at public expense, frankly, I would really much rather see an open forum to do some sort of discovery so that we can really understand both sides. I think when you're going into this, and I just feel like personally, I don't have all the information. I haven't seen both sides of the pancake. So how would I know what is true, what is not true? I know there's been a lot of documentation and a lot of articles cited. But to me, it seems like a much more appropriate and politically just better way to go is to actually try and do what Jess had mentioned, is let's have an open discussion with some transparency and authenticity to try and understand really what the issues are and address them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's somebody online that needs to mute. If you could do that, please.
Newlands, and I live outside of town, and I have a couple of houses in town. There's something that I realize there's a lot that I don't understand. But I know that our town has been very proud of all those grants. And my concern is that if
that money is needed, it needs to be very carefully, spent. I guess that's about all I have to say. It's just, I'm not sure about the grant thing. I know in the short-term rental, it seems like the grant money was what got us in the spotlight. And anyway, I question, and I would encourage that money, if the town needs that grant money, that is carefully spent, like on the streets and whatever. So anyway, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Well, with that, I deliberately wanted this to hear what people had to say. I think it's important because the trustees only have the documentation that was in the packet, including the draft letter. And I thought it was important that the trustees hear what the citizens have to say. So with that, I've explained the reason that I did this, or suggested we do this, simply because I think it's really important that the public see what is fact. So much of what was put out here is not fact. And what you have in here is fact, and everything that we do is all done in public, and it's all available on the website. This is why we're having this tonight. It needs to be done in the public realm and transparent. If you read the draft letter, you see the transparency that we have, that anybody can see it. And we have meetings every 2 weeks. Everything is put in the public realm. Everything is talked about in the public. So with that, I felt, again, I'm just going to end it with the information that was being put out, and I don't know why. I have no idea why this person, who I understand who it is now, I don't know if he did a loan, I have no idea, decided to do it now. I don't understand. But for me, people need to understand that just because it's on Facebook doesn't make it right. Correct. So I thought it would be, excuse me, I can ask you to leave, would you please? A little decorum. Okay, so with that, I turn it over to the trustees and how they feel about it, and I start with trustee Hunter.
I would just like to offer one point of clarification because I did have some additional involvement. So when I saw the flyer, I took it upon myself to put out another flyer. I did this of my own accord, on my own, as a single person and a single trustee. And I understand that the packet talks about this was reviewed by the town administrator and the attorney. And I wanted to clarify what happened. I walked into the administrator's office and said, I would like you to do a quick review of this and let me know if anything you see is not 100% accurate, because you are the subject of much of it. That was the extent of our conversation. Then we called the town attorney to make sure there were no legal issues and that I was not putting the town in jeopardy by doing this of my own accord. And he said, as an individual citizen, even as an individual trustee, you can absolutely. So that is the extent of the clarification that I wanted to offer.
Great. Other thoughts? And Rick, Mayor Pro Tem Stelter and trustee Mohar, please put your hand up if you want to speak up, because I don't want to leave you out because you're on Zoom. So other thoughts? Thoughts? Sure.
Yeah, it's my understanding that if we choose to publish your letter, which it would be without the attachments, which I think would be appropriate. I don't think we should have any of the attachments that are in the package, which were background for us.
Right.
So I would just maybe offer an amendment to your letter saying that if people want more details on this, they could check the town website where there is this packet and they can look at all of the information.
Other thoughts? Yeah, trustee Turner.
If the letter is to be published, I am totally on board with the factual matters in the letter.
my professional experience includes budgeting for a large state agency. And I'm very concerned. I have very much an interest in understanding how spending is being done and make sure that sustainable spending for new positions, for new programs and such. And I also understand that there are big one-time expenses that will bring down balances. And that's, as was explained, I mean, that's normal. And when we went through the budget process this fall, I was paying very much attention to that because the budget was new to me, I was new to the board. And I wanted assurance for myself as well as for the town that these decisions were sound and weren't going to put us in a financial jeopardy. And basically the other things in there that are being explained, I'm also fully behind. I do think that the letter includes some assertions and characterizations that aren't necessary, that aren't necessarily factual, and that aren't helpful because, as we see, not everybody agrees with some of them. If this letter were to go forward, my personal recommendation would be to take another swath at it and really, dissect fact from assertion and just be real clean about putting information out there. And I guess lastly, I would also say, I also feel I'm very grateful for my opportunity to have participated in this board and get a closer look at the inner workings of staff and board members. And I'm very impressed. I have just gained a lot more information, knowledge, insight, and confidence that I think people here are doing, making decisions in the best interests of the community. The transparency of the meetings and the notes and all that, I think, is excellent. I think there are a lot of systems that have been put in place since the administrator's been in, especially financially, and the controls and whatnot that were very much needed and very appropriate. That said, I know that most people in town don't read the board packets, don't watch all the board meetings, don't get all the information that's contained within what's being made available. I think on almost all marks, I feel really good about the way the staff and board is moving forward with the business of this town. My one, I think, sort of disappointment or place for improvement, in my opinion, is more communication. Communication about what's going on, what's changing, what's coming up, helping people understand. I think there's been a lot of, like I say, new systems and procedures put in place for a reason. We want to make things systematic. We want to make things fair. We want to make sure decisions are being made equitably, regardless of who's bringing it forward. So these systems are changing the way things have happened in the past, and that can be very startling and disconcerting and erode trust because people don't necessarily understand that's the way things were going down. So I think I heard it from one or more of the commenters. It's a PR problem. I mean, I don't like the word PR at all, but communication, more kind of some informal communication in addition to the other modes of transparency around what's happening here, and especially to the extent possible upfront of things being rolled out and implemented. In my experience as a citizen and as during my time on the board, I see a repeated, someone raises an issue, complains, raises concerns, has an idea that might not be true about something that is occurring.
And the town is in the position of responding to that and trying to clarify, and it often comes across as defensive, which doesn't help trust building. And I think the more that you can front end load and open communication, and I'm excited to hear from some of the new candidates that communication with the community is really important to them. I think that's a really important ethic to bring forward and to, do what's appropriate as a board member, because we have very specific and sideboards on our roles, but to help encourage the town, find ways to be more forthcoming upfront with the community so they can understand what's coming at them. Thank you.
I just want to follow up with yours. Do you have specific places in here that you would recommend in the letter being removed?
I don't really want to do that off the cuff here.
Okay.
If there's an opportunity, be happy to give you my suggestions, like in I could work on a Word document or something and make some suggestions about the average.
Okay, other thoughts?
Me,
Yes.
I'm sure you want. That's probably good, I'm getting off from, but I grew up in an Irish town. It's a fight to be won. It'd be a fight to be hidden. I don't think it goes far enough. I'd take them to court. That's what I would do. But that's just my opinion. But I'd vote for the letter if that's what the board decides.
Thank you. Sure.
I was ready to, there's somebody on.
Oh, Mayor Pro, you know what? Your hand matches the background. Sorry, Mayor Pro Tem Stelter, please go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Basically, what I have to put forth is these were charges brought forth. And what I would like to put forth is that we answer them one at a time in open meeting, and we take care of this right now. Rather than, I know it's going to take a humongous amount of time because this is just snowballing. It wasn't just the charges he listed on at first. Now we've got another issue where he's got this idea that we're Big Brother watching everything in the whole town, whereas we put the cameras in the parks to stop the vandalism, and we've caught some of the ne'er-do-wells doing the vandalism, and we don't have tagging on the shelters, and we're catching people when they go into and do vandalism. We haven't lost as much fencing as we had in the past. So we're going to continue to get charges. This is not going to go away, but I think that if we take this single issue, the first charges, and we go through them one at a time and debunk them in open meeting on Zoom, that's the solution to this. I don't think that giving the Delta County Independent $2,000 for a half-page ad and putting it in the shopper is going to do as much as if we just did it and use our time to do this. I think it's up to us to go ahead and take care of this issue now. And I'm very disheartened that people seem to not understand why we are doing these things and why we are getting grants and loans to take care of this. It seems like there's just that the constant innuendo is driving us into the ground. And it seems to be the same people that are always against the town council. So maybe we nip this in the bud by just powering through this, and if we have to, hold another meeting. Thank you.
Trustee Maharado, any thoughts?
So I do have certain comments that I want to talk about and thoughts. With the cameras, I think the whole camera situation can be handled differently than going back and forth with arguing with one each other about cloud base and just having a camera system that's monitored. Cloud base for me, I'm not really for a cloud-based system. That's just my opinion. But you know what? If we had cameras that serve the town and the town alone, I agree with that. I think it'd make a lot of people happy if we went that way. But I mean, that's something that has to be brought up later on in an agenda. Along with that, I really enjoy the transparency within the town. It helps out so much, and I know that it's something that like most towns don't do. So I mean, I respect Stefan Wynn for the transparency he provides for us, and it's great. It's straight to the point. That taking Mr. McCarthy to court by someone else that's on the board of trustees that isn't going to be on the board anymore, that doesn't settle with me as well. There's just certain things that I think could be a lot better, like listening to our community and what they actually want than denying them what they want. And I've seen that a few times, but I mean, I think we all just have to work together and kind of just sit down and have an open discussion about a lot of stuff that could be worked out.
Okay. Well, looks like we have a, wait a, oh, go ahead.
I'd like to.
Sure, sorry.
The issue that was brought up, and I appreciate your letter, even the first few paragraphs where you said this was an anonymous attack. Because at the time, there was no attribution attached to these flyers. So it was anonymous. Peter McCarthy later admitted that it was him, and he might have admitted it right away on social media. But there are some people who don't appreciate social media because people do post anonymously or through a pseudonym. So it's less trustworthy than to make especially legal accusations on social media or anonymously through a flyer. So if he really does have legitimate legal complaints, I would suggest that they be brought into a court of law, make the charges, take him to court if he really believes what he's saying has merit. But I don't believe this is something that should be decided in the court of public opinion through social media where people are just hurling accusations and name calling at each other. So if there's legal issues, let's get them settled. If not, let's just explain ourselves and move on to the town business and community business. So I appreciate your effort and trying to clarify what this incident brought to us. So I would vote for your publishing this letter.
Yes, trustee Turner, sorry.
I also appreciate what you put together, and I think it's helpful information, and also for me, because I wasn't as familiar with all these issues. I really agree with Mayor Pro Tem Stelter that I believe some more of a dialogue or forum for communication on these matters where there can be some question and answer would be more effective than a one-way dead-end sort of street publication of a rebuttal in the newspapers. I think it's unsatisfying. You know, there's undoubtedly there are, while there's a lot of good information there, undoubtedly there's other questions that people have, and you know, people that have issues with what's being stated there, questions, probably aren't going to be satisfied by that, that it's really going to help us. So I will not be in favor of moving forward to put this in publication.
And my reason for suggesting this was so that it would be out there one time, it would be out there for everyone to read. Because people don't understand budgets, they don't understand a lot of the nuances that go into governing. But with this being what is out in the public realm and no rebuttal anywhere, I think is a problem. This is what people are remembering, are these things that are miscommunications. And I just thought it was important for the town to come back and say, these things are not correct. This is misinformation. And this is what's true. So that was my reason for thinking to get it published. And the reason I suggested display ads is because we then control when and where they go. Because newspapers take a couple weeks, if, you know, and it's up to them to publish it if they want to. So I understand people don't want to spend money, I get it, but you know what? I wanted to put it out there for discussion. It's important for people to see it. I'm really concerned about these kinds of accusations being made. They're not true. So I thought it was important to respond with what was factual. Thank you, excuse me. I wouldn't have done this if I thought they were true. Do you understand?
Show nothing by offering false.
But wait, I can't, I just want to tell you that as mayor, I have so much insight into what goes on with the town. And everything is done as transparent as it can be. So go ahead, Christina.
So I think generally speaking, it's clear where I stand, given the flyers that I put out and the comments that I made on social media. Social media freaks me out. I think that's something that the board definitely needs to discuss, is our level of involvement and what that looks like. Tonight's not the night for that, but I think that's a discussion that needs to happen with the new board. That being said, thank you for putting the effort in. I think this is good information and I think it's important information. But in listening to people and in listening to the discussions, I also am leaning more towards not spending town money on publishing ads. I would like to see this on the town webpage potentially, the town Facebook page, official town avenues to get this out. Potentially an op-ed, but I don't even know at this point because it would be so delayed. I think it's just kind of dragging it out. I think it's good that we have this meeting and we're having these conversations. And again, I thank you for doing that. But at this point, I want the information out there, but I'm leaning away from spending money on ads.
So
I would have to follow with Ms. Hunter as well on that.
Okay. Just trying to think what we need a motion on. So would somebody like to make a motion as to whether you want this to be how you would like this put out? But let me ask first, I wonder if we need a motion about making edits to it before it would be potentially, maybe that's the second question. Maybe the first question is, do you want it to go out on social media and put it out at all?
I think that's fair to put it to the board as to whether to do edits. That was my opinion, my thinking, and I'm not saying that we all need to agree with that. And
Oh, yes.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Oh, sorry, Mayor Pro Tem Stelter, go ahead.
I'm very much in favor of editing this, but to put more detail into it. Those of us that have gone through the budget process have gone through the processes of making these decisions. We have lots of detail that it's very difficult to put out there. We really need to make sure that it's well documented that we have made these decisions and why we made these decisions. So I don't know what the best way is to edit this. Unfortunately, doing it in an open meeting is cumbersome. It's going to take a long time. And we need to do some response because this is a current issue. And part of the problem is social media is a very evil thing. It's such an easy thing to make a wild charge, and in order to refute it, you can't. Basically, it's always out there. So I think that we need to set each of these issues and discuss it, edit the response, and we need to put that response out on the town website and also on the the town Facebook page and just put it out there and we deal with it that way. There's no point in sending something to the newspaper. Even if we got it into the newspaper today, the nearest publication date would be next Wednesday. Publication date is, the deadline is Friday. So, and that's for the next Wednesday. So we're already 2 weeks out by the time this even hits and anybody sees it. And I'm not sure that the print media is really all that effective anymore. I think there's better ways to do it. We have the Zoom meetings, and if we do it on Zoom, it can be gotten out there. And as long as we make sure that it's done and we do it openly, that's the best we can do. That's all I have. Thank you.
So are you suggesting taking this in pieces and doing it over time? I'm not sure I understand what you are proposing.
I propose that we take each and every issue and do it now.
Oh.
And I mean, we're talking a long meeting and maybe another meeting. And it takes a huge amount of time, I understand.
I think I
There's
have
no
to check
other
with
way.
sorry to interrupt. I don't believe we can do that. That's not the agenda. I'm not sure it's agendized to go to that extent.
Then I'm fine with starting another or setting another meeting and doing it in another meeting.
Yeah, because this is trustee approval of a statement of fact clarifying, so I don't think anyway,
I
go ahead.
appreciate what trustee Stelter is saying and what trustee Tarnow is saying, but I think an answer is necessary more immediately. And so I would agree with trustee Hunter that we answer this pretty quick, like right away, and to do it on the town website. And I think your letter ought to be as is on the town website, and maybe even have you do an interview with KDNF or something, just to tell people if they want to know about this, check the town website. And as a matter of fact, I just think it has to be done, not 2 weeks from now or not, 2 meetings from now, but answer those accusations more immediately.
Okay. Would you like to make a motion to that effect, or does someone else want to, trustee Turner, did you want to say one more thing and make a motion?
Well, I guess if I could make a motion. Is that okay?
Yeah, I mean,
And we'll see where that goes. I move that we edit this letter to remove unnecessary characterizations and assertions. Keep the fact and quickly get it out through the town's webpage and perhaps similar outlets. And leave it at that.
were you able to get the motion? Yes. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Any further discussion?
Yeah, the extent of the edits that you have, I guess you explained, just to remove personal characterizations. So they don't have to comment.
All right, then I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Could we do a roll call? Sorry, that was a little.
I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem Stelter,
Nay.
trustee Majorado,
Aye.
trustee Check,
Aye.
trustee Hunter. Aye. Trustee Heck,
Aye.
trustee Turner. Aye. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. I will adjourn the meeting. What's that?
Point of order.
What?
The editing of this will have to be done in this meeting.
That's right.
Suggestions?
You should move to just.
The
Oh,
suggestions you made were specific, though.
The editing.
I don't know.
Skelton.
So the motion was to remove the assertions and characterizations that aren't necessary and part of the factual basis that's presented here. I would be willing to take a cut at that if that is permissible, and to, I don't know, work with the mayor on finalizing that. I'm just not sure what the appropriate way is, or if something the whole body needs to be involved in.
Well, that means we would have to do it right now if we're going to make a motion to.
What do you think?
Edit.
Does it have to be right now?
Maybe just running on a special.
No, oh, yeah, Clay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Do we, so the, this was posted as a draft. With the intention. Let's see, where's my report? Make a motion to approve the public statement with any agreed upon changes. So I think the changes would have to be agreed upon. Here, Attorney Buchner, would you agree?
Well, I mean, if you were going to pass something now, yes, but if the motion, as I understand it, is that you're basically tabling what the purpose of this agenda item for a future discussion. I don't think that.
It's more, no, it was to modify the existing letter and then put it up on the town's social media and website. But it's, the difference is that the edits, that there's some pretty, it's more than a word coming out. It's a little bit more serious edits.
Sure, yeah, if you're gonna modify and try to pass it now, then you'd have to discuss what changes and modifications need to be made, and then you don't have to put all the changes and modifications into the motion, but you do need to motion, agree on the changes and then motion to adopt the letter with the agreed upon changes.
Okay. I'm game to edit.
I'm fine with that too. It would be easier to do it as a, correction thing.
Well, it's just
smithing, but
so do you consider in a recent public posting, the anonymous authors penned a list of misleading and false accusations about the town of Paonia administrator, the mayor, and board of trustees?
I think we could say that, and even at this point, I don't know if we need to still call it anonymous, but that's fine. That a posting was made that we feel contained some false and misleading accusations that we would like to clarify. It's our feeling about that.
Posting was made that we feel contained
False and
misleading accusations.
I'm sure, blah, 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 that we would like to address.
Okay. I actually brought it up. Double space.
Good. I would just delete the next sentence. I would, on the next paragraph, I would, just say statements were made for the reasons our administrator, just leave out the erroneous and libelous. The rest is fine. I would leave out the next paragraph. The authors have attempted.
Okay.
And I think I'd say, just go down to where it starts with, we, the town's elected representatives.
Give me 1 second, let me get
Yeah,
it.
so delete the first 3 lines in that,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
We capitalize,
yep.
okay?
We, the town's elected representatives, would be remiss if we didn't respond. Clarifications.
We, the town's elected would be remiss if we didn't respond to myriad misinformation. Being passed
No,
back.
see, we, the town's elected representatives would like to address what we feel is misinformation in this posting as follows.
Okay, as follows, so you would remove. Hang on 1
So
second.
we, the town's elected representatives, would like to address
What we feel,
what we feel are misrepresentations, maybe, or
misinformation,
sure. Or misrepresentations in the posting, as follows. It's a little rough, but.
okay?
Okay, so the next one, I think. It's fine.
Yeah. And I think these statements are false and deliberate, I'd say are false and a misrepresentation of publicly available facts and events.
Right.
I think that stays.
False and misrepresent, just leave out deliberate.
Mhm. Okay.
Or actually, I would go back to say, I think these statements misrepresent
Publicly available facts.
take out false and deliberate.
Okay. Mayor and trustees rely on input from the town administrator. And department heads in order to make decisions necessary for the government's and operations of the town administrator and town staff implement the decisions and directions. See, those are all pretty fact, okay? Right along.
I appreciate the fact that the last sentence of that paragraph is underlined too.
Yeah.
Emphasized.
Mhm.
All information is provided here is discussed publicly.
Mhm.
Is available on the website.
Mhm.
Where are you right now?
Oh,
Oh, I see,
top of
up there,
page
okay, great, I sorted down. That's-
I would go down to the second paragraph under grant loan funding for infrastructure. And your elected body firmly believe that these are accomplishments to celebrate, period. And it's the second to the last paragraph, sentence in the paragraph starting with Paonia does not have this kind of cash on hand.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. The last sentence in that paragraph.
Yeah, delete it. I would delete it, we're astonished. Somehow beauty is not in the town's best interest, I guess what others think.
I like consensus.
Just think that, I think some people would perhaps not say that that's what they're asserting and would feel insulted. I don't think it's, I just don't think it's constructive.
I would agree with trustee Turner.
Okay. just gonna do this, just keep going. Okay.
Funding. Good with the rest of it,
Mhm.
down in staffing.
The others opine that our administrative bureaucracy, that's a quote.
Say, so the posting includes the statement that our administrator grew the bureaucracy. This is false. Or this. This is not, I'd say this is not accurate.
Okay.
I think the rest of that's good. I think the rest of that is good. Town finances.
Mhm.
That paragraph as it is,
Which one are you looking at?
the town finances and accountability.
Yeah. Hmm. The budget reporting? You're still on budget?
Yep.
Okay.
First, second paragraph, look good.
Okay.
Third paragraph, it's fine. Yes, that whole section is great.
Are you on capital improvement plan?
Now still on budget.
Now, okay. Okay. I'd say the posting refers to this long-term planning as shopping.
That's good. And the posting asserts that the 2026 budget does not include funding for tree maintenance. And either are true. Is there any update on the status of that hiring of the arborist that is worth included?
There's RFP in process.
Is that relevant to add to here, just to?
I don't think so. I really don't. Because it's, if you go down, the tree board is due to expire, blah, blah, blah.
The
town
last
hires-
paragraph.
Yes. While the town hires a contracted certified arborist.
Yes.
I think that's all there.
Okay.
Okay, yes,
If I may, Mayor,
yes.
on the subject of the
Rick, you muted yourself.
Oh,
We can't hear you anymore, Rick.
because you know, Rick, you're muted. Mayor Pro Tem, you're muted. There.
okay. Let me get the exact wording here. I'd like a note in there that the century-old trees, the silver maples that are the majority of the trees that are dying, their expected life is a 75-year life. Yes, we're going to lose some trees, but these trees need some replacement, and we're planning for replacement, and that's part of getting a certified arborist on board. That's it. Thank you.
You could say just some of the trees are nearing their end of life and we need to plan for the replacement. Therefore, we are going forward to get an arborist to help with that. Does that cover that, Rick?
That works, but the majority of the trees that are dying in town are a century old. They were planted at the same time as the ones in the parks. The trees in the parks were planted when they established the park. Now, the average life of a silver maple is 75 years, and then they go into senescence. Then they start to die. We need to replace those trees, and we have been. We've been replacing them for 20 years. We plant trees in the park, and we take out the trees that are dangerous. And we need to do the same thing on the
Yes.
streets.
Yes.
And we
but,
have a program.
Yes,
So-
I understand that, but hang on, Mayor Pro Tem, you gave some language, but I have no idea where you want to put it. And I don't know that that's the language we want to, will you let us work here on getting some language in about the old trees? Because I have a double-sided copy that I can work from.
Sure.
And that way we can actually have the language. I understand what you're saying. It's just where exactly to put it in here, so it makes sense in terms of subject matter. So I'm wondering if something to that effect could go after the period after 15,000. Because that is
Yes.
2 new budget line items for trees totaling 40,000 are in the approved FY 2026 budget. Streets and
I think that
this funding will address the removal and replacement of many of the, well, it's not gonna cover everything. This is, I don't know.
This is
really
a
if-
program. It's gonna have to
Right.
start somewhere. It's
Yes.
like replacing the water lines. We have to start somewhere. And I
Um,
think that position in the statement is perfect. Thank you.
I have another thought, just see what you think about this. At the very end, the last sentence, the town's providing what the former board asked for, certified arborist, blah, blah, blah. We know many of our oldest trees that are dying are nearing the end of their life. And our plan is to work with the arborist on a plan for replacing them or something.
Startup replacement program. I have no argument with that placement either.
Many of our oldest trees are dying and
Are at the end of their life and dying.
yes,
I hear what you're saying. They're not near dying,
okay,
they are past it, so we want to add both, so that second sentence you just said.
so,
There's some that are near dying or near their end of life, and very much past.
okay,
But
okay.
not just years, we don't have 20 years to work with.
Yeah, we know many of our oldest trees are dying or near dying.
Beyond their life expectancy. Yes, beyond life. Your cards.
Perfect.
Does dying mean beyond their life expectancy? Is that a synonym? It seems like it is. And we make that statement, and we know many of our oldest trees are dying
And
or are beyond,
Yeah, I think so.
dying, are,
Many of the older trees are beyond their life expectancy.
yeah. And will need replacement.
we want to work with the arborist to develop that plan.
Expectancy and will be need removal and replacement. That sound good, Nikki?
I'll make sure they're full.
Replacement. We will work with a certified arborist or develop a plan.
For addressing.
Addressing the replacement. Okay. Okay. Let's see, cameras?
So the post questions raises the question about, you just delete the first sentence also? Yeah.
Say it again. What, and where?
Reading the first sentence of cameras.
Okay,
So that would start with the proposal to install.
okay, very good.
And then after December 2025, kind of in the middle of that paragraph, delete and is not a secret, just December 2025 period.
Okay,
say has reduced we can say it's reduced vandalism, has enabled us to address vandalism?
Reduce.
I mean, how do we know this?
Well, I'd ask Nikki, do you feel like knowing what vandalism had occurred pre-camera, do you feel like there's less vandalism post-camera? Or is it just that now you can identify it and address it quicker?
Kind of difficult to say, because we did all this barrel work and other things to reduce it as well.
Yeah.
So there, we kind of have multiple things to do that, but it's still. The season is kicking up. That's, I think people don't vandalize in the winter as much as they do. That's- So I can't quite test.
So I would just say the installation of these cameras. The installation of these cameras allow us to identify identify vandals
And I don't want to put any words in his mouth, but it was also to help PD, because they can't be everywhere at once either.
Right.
Like that was another strong point for them. There are large groups in the park. It's hard to say. Have security.
Have to have security, so the cameras provide security when the public's using the park. Which, that is in the last question, the last statement, I think. But we can see that. So the installation of these cameras allow us to identify vandalism that has occurred more quickly.
and address the perpetrators, and quickly address the perpetrators.
It's a hard one.
Yeah. I just say,
Do you know how to do it?
Address perpetrators, period.
I would delete the next sentence. These are not areas.
I don't know. Yeah,
Sorry, Mayor Pro Tem just raised.
okay. Mayor Pro Tem Stelter, go ahead.
I'd like to suggest that we just delete the last two paragraphs.
I don't agree.
Yeah.
Well, let's get through the cameras first. Hang on one second. Installation of these cameras allows us to identify vandalism that has occurred more quickly and address the perpetrators more quickly. Perpetrators and apprehend.
Well, yeah. Or hold the perpetrators accountable. I don't know. Everything sounds good.
Okay.
And then as far as the last sentence on cameras, maybe just delete the word nefarious and keep the rest.
Yeah, because they're not face recognition and they're not on private property.
So when this was discussed in public forum, I mean, did you discuss how they would be used, whether there would be cloud, all that kind of stuff?
I think so, yes.
And are there policies around that? I mean, I'm not saying it needs to all be included here, but just as a citizen and given the.
But remember, this is really on the agenda.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it's a good question, but it should be agendized.
These are not used for face recognition or intended as surveillance apparatus, although I guess they are.
It's just not on private, it's not on private property, it's only public property.
Or surveillance private property, yeah, okay, yeah, okay, great.
But anybody could set up surveillance camera.
But we're not doing it on private property.
No.
Well,
There's not, what the point there
It is.
neighbors said.
Oh, yeah, okay, they know.
We started talking, he's getting in favor.
All right, so, so the second to last paragraph is the one that Mayor Pro Tem would like to eliminate altogether, so let's look at that, correct? Do I have that right, Mayor Pro Tem?
That's correct.
Okay.
I would support that. Second to last, the comments paragraph.
Keeping it or deleting it?
Deleting it. I mean, I do think we need to wrap up with,
I
You know, this,
haven't heard
this
about
is,
today.
this is from us. I mean, to say what is, well, I don't know. Couch it in. But we,
How about if we just started with, the town would not be in the enviable position it's in today without ample funding to address long neglected upgrades with policies in place that ensure public funds.
how about if we say it is our unanimous belief that the town would not be.
Okay.
It is our strong belief that the town would not be. Or something.
I would think, I want to look at this last paragraph too. We are making the statement to ensure that the citizens of Paonia, maybe there can be one last paragraph. And say. We, because
How about we know that this statement of fact will not answer all the questions? We know this.
wait, so I think we need to keep what is true. Or just that the town would not be in this enviable position it's in today. Without ensure public funds, blah, blah, blah. Unless if the town administrator had been hired nearly 3 years ago.
I guess my comment, my suggestion on that is just to make it ours.
Yes.
It's our firm.
Yes, it is our firm belief that the town, what I wanted to make sure is that you're keeping the second paragraph in mind too, that we're not being redundant.
Yep. The rest of that.
Okay. So we are making this statement to ensure that the citizens of Paonia understand the decisions that we've made and that we are grateful for the progress the town has been able to make and the services we are all provided. All this has been made possible under the leadership of our town administrator, Stephen Nguyen, and the highly performing team of professionals working on our collective behalf.
And the only, like on that first sentence, we know this unified and published statement of fact will not answer all questions.
Okay.
All the questions.
Okay.
Does or does not answer all.
I guess I disagree. I like the first sentence of the last paragraph, so, because
Well,
there's still, the trolls are still gonna be trolls. They're still gonna be, and no matter what we say, it's like you can't have a logical discussion with somebody who is enraged or working off of emotions. You try to be logical with them and they're not using logic.
Trustee Check, respectfully, I think it's unhelpful to be calling some of our citizens trolls. I understand.
That's the comment I made to you. That's not what I'm suggesting we.
I understand.
that's what I'm.
I know. But I
There
just.
will always be people who will be unhappy. You can't make them all happy.
That's right. I agree with that.
So with the statement is, we know this unified and published statement will be met with more, I just think it's okay to say will be met with more public
Criticism.
Or will not satisfy all of our citizens or answer all the questions.
Make pretense. Okay, hang on one second. I just want to get this written down. Satisfy all of the public's questions.
Will not satisfy.
We know this unified and published statement will not satisfy all of.
Will not answer all the
Not
questions
answer.
or satisfy
Okay,
or address every citizen's concerns.
okay, go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem. Oh,
I suggest that we just put that down as this is a unified statement and we know it doesn't answer all questions. And put forth something to the effect that contact one of the trustees or the mayor and have a conversation. And I know it's gonna eat our lunch for time, but that's what it is. I don't think that it helps that we we put forth that not the baseless accusation thing has to go. And yes, I believe that some of these accusations are baseless, most of them. But I don't think that it's worthwhile antagonizing the citizenry this way.
Well, we've already removed that sentence. Did you hear that?
Yes, and I
It's
think
gone.
just end it right at the point of the first part of the sentence. Just end it right there. Thank you.
Well, we are saying, we know this unified and published statement will not answer all the questions or address every citizen's concerns. Or all address every citizen's possessive concerns. That's what we have there. Is that comport with what
That's
you?
fine for us, but I think that contacting your town council member or a town council member for a conversation would help. But we also need to delineate what we can say as council persons. We can't be all the town spokesman. That's part of the problem. We need to provide a unified front, but we also need parameters.
Well, I'm not sure. Yeah, oh, trustee Hunter, go ahead.
I would just recommend that we leave that part out for now. I think that is a point of further discussion that we definitely need to have as a board, and preferably the new board can have that discussion.
But yeah, I would agree. I don't think it's appropriate at this right now.
I can live with that.
Okay, but it certainly could be later. Anyway. So I'm okay with the rest of it. Okay, sorry. All right, I had anticipated this.
Okay, so I move to accept the changes as just discussed.
Second, Hank?
I'll
All in
second it.
favor? Oh, it's been
Aye.
seconded.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Did we get a vote from Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
Yes. I didn't hear it. Did you vote, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
I
thank
voted
you.
aye.
Okay, I didn't hear that. Okay. All right. So this will be available tomorrow. Okay, I am adjourning this meeting. Thank you. No. Yeah.